Coming up this week from Northern Ireland, one of the hardest shots I've ever had to play, as well as some shots I can't play because they're just impossible. And of course there's some weird shots I want to have a go at as well, because as usual we're going to be recreating all the best shots as accurately as possible and then playing them in the fewest possible attempts. Once again this season, the tournament was won by Kyren, and this shot's from his quarter-final match against Mark Williams. He cues in this long red, controlling the white for the black, and goes on to make a 67 break, taking the frame, and impressively the match 5-1 against Mark Williams. This is a good pot under pressure as the red's close to the corner pocket and there's no way you would have covered it as a safety shot. I've just straightened the first couple up a little bit, but I've corrected it for my third. That's pretty good for this type of shot. Well, that's a fairly good start, so let's move on to this Neil Robertson positional shot, where he can't get any better on the red than he does here, considering he plays the cue ball off the baulk cushion and all the way back down the table. This allows him to go on and make a 105 break and get his opening frame on the board, although he'd end up losing out in this match narrowly by 5 frames to 4. As Pang Junju was just a little bit too good in the final couple of frames. My first attempt didn't look too good, but I just put a tiny bit too much right hand side on the cue ball. And this time as I've missed the yellow, I've got the line right, and unbelievably I've dropped perfectly on the red. I thought that'd take me a lot longer. This shot from Judd Trump is going to be really tough to play on my table because he arcs the cue ball a long way round the pink to get the cannon on the red near the side cushion and knock it on towards the pocket. Even though it doesn't end up in the best position here, Judd still manages to pot this red and make the clearance. So let's see if I can get into the cue ball enough on my table and create enough of a banana to get the red away from the cushion. In an attempt to make this slightly easier, I'm digging down at the cue ball a little bit, so when it leaves the black, it starts to bounce. And hopefully this should delay the backspin even longer and help me get round the pink. Annoyingly, on the one occasion I missed the black, I've managed to cannon the red. So I've got to see if I can do it again because I could clearly do it with a little bit more angle. It's just because the shot's this straight, I'm struggling to get the reaction, although this isn't bad. Luca Brecel had one of the best flukes of the tournament against Heathcote in the first round with this red that saw him take the deciding frame. But the shot we're interested in happened earlier on in the match where he played a really creative shot on the brown to get the cue ball back to the blue off the side cushions a couple of times. The pot itself was a little bit harder than I was expecting as it was thinner than it looks, but I just dug into the cue ball as much as possible and this was the result. Anthony McGill's got a bit of a problem. Not only is he playing the world champion, he's got a red over the corner pocket that he needs to move. So he takes this red on down the cushion and pots it direct. This actually makes a big difference as he goes on to win the frame with a 112 break and very nearly wins the match, only losing out by 4 frames to 3 in the end. So let's give this one a go. I mean, how difficult can it be? As it turns out, depending of course on just how many shots this ends up taking, this could well be the hardest shot I've ever had to try to recreate on the channel. This is because of the red's proximity to the side cushion. It's not touching it, but it's just far enough away to make it a really difficult pot down the cushion, and the fact that the cue ball's really close to the baulk cushion at the same time, meaning I have to dig down a lot to get into it, and it's making it a real challenge to see the correct angle and hit the cue ball straight when I'm trying to screw it back about 6 feet from this position. And other than the inevitable miscue, what's making this shot the most annoying is that red by the pocket, because normally this would help you out and you'd be able to knock it in off the red, so the shot itself looks really inviting, but because I've got to get this direct, that red is being no help whatsoever, and to make it worse, whenever I miss a shot and hit that red, it almost always knocks all the balls everywhere across the table. So that's taking me a long time every time I miss this to set it back up again. So I'm not sure how long this is going to take me because I need to be almost perfectly accurate with this, and it's such a long way away and I'm having to deliver the cue with such speed that I can't be anywhere near as accurate as I like or consistent, and annoyingly I keep miscuing. And I think we've finally done it, moved into the territory where this is the most difficult shot I've ever had to try to recreate that wasn't a complete fluke. Because I think the Kyren Wilson one that took me 40 attempts before was similar to this, but because of the distance between the cue ball and object ball, this one's just so much harder. And I keep talking like this in the hope that one of these shots will go in. I'm getting closer, but I'm not sure I'm ever going to get this. Well, that's a relief because that took over 25 minutes, and in the end, I never thought I was actually going to get it. Louis Heathcote needs snookers against Mark Selby and manages to play the cue ball along the top cushion perfectly to get it in behind the pink. As you might expect, Mark Selby escapes from this, but it's still a great shot to get it there. So Mark ended up winning the frame, but it was Louis who took the match by 4 frames to 3. I'm not sure how difficult this shot is going to be. It depends how easily you can screw the cue ball along the cushion. And after a few shots, I think I'm able to do it. So now it's just a case of getting the spin and the pace right. And I'm fairly close with this one, just gone a little bit too far. Still would have had the snooker though. Although this is a lot better. I've got the white tight in behind the pink and maybe Mark wouldn't have hit this one. On to the quarterfinals now, as Mark Williams has managed to snooker himself behind the blue really tight, and he finds an escape off the middle jaw. This one doesn't look too difficult, but it is a bit of an unusual shot, and it ends up working really well for Mark, as this is the only frame he actually manages to win in the entire match against Kyren Wilson.
This is harder than I thought.
As you can probably tell, I thought I'd be a little bit inaccurate off the middle jaw, but I didn't think it'd be anywhere near this difficult to get the cue ball in the right place. I'm close with this one, I just hit the reds too far down. I want to go into the middle red of the 3, and I think I've got it here. A lot tougher than I would have thought with this one. David Grace also finds himself in a snooker that he also manages to escape from by using the jaws of the pocket. This time it's the corner pocket, but he still manages it successfully, and he goes on to win the frame once again against Kyren Wilson, making it 3 frames all. However, he loses the decider as Kyren takes the match. For someone who plays these types of trick shots all the time, I really should have done better with my first attempt. Judd Trump also escaping from a snooker, but this time not using the jaws, just a lot of power. In theory this one shouldn't be too difficult, but it looks good as he pots the red over the corner pocket at this speed. He also manages to get out far enough to pot the blue from this position. I was hoping I got the right angle there as I hit the cushion in roughly the same place Judd did, but unfortunately my cushions don't slide anywhere near so much, so I had to readjust. I can't believe that one hasn't gone in, but hopefully I've got it right for my next shot. It's gone in, the white hasn't gone in the right direction, but technically I'm on the black, so that'll do. Stan Moody's another player with a difficult shot to play against Kyren Wilson, as there's a red over the pocket he can't see, so he just plays the double instead. This gives him a good chance to clear up, however he ends up breaking down on 37, losing the frame and eventually the match. Considering the double doesn't look too difficult, I've horribly misjudged it with my first couple of shots, although at least the second one did go in. I finally got it now, so let's move on to the next one. And against that, we've got this shot from Shaun Murphy on 111. He just gets the double as an exhibition shot, but it's pretty good from this position, so let's have a go. As straightforward as this one looks, I usually find these shots quite difficult to judge as the pocket's quite tight at this angle. But it's gone in, so the question is, which was the cheekiest double? Cue the music. Shaun plays a really good exhibition shot and gets 3, but Stan's was so much more crucial, so it gets 4, and he's this week's winner. I was really impressed with this shot from Jack Lisowski. Not only does he manage to pot this long green, but he screws back and removes the brown from the cushion, allowing him to make the clearance. Unfortunately for Jack though, he loses the match in the deciding frame. After just my first attempt, I can already tell this one's going to be really awkward to get right, although I do seem to have lined up the angle perfectly, so when I do pot the green, I should be cannoning into the brown. However, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to cue it well enough to remove the brown from the cushion in exactly the same way Jack did. I finally potted it and made the cannon, but I only just nudged the brown a little bit. I've got it harder, but still not in the right direction, so I need to get it even better. I've got the cannon better this time, but I think that's about as well as I can play it. I can't screw back any faster. The Jimmy White-Hossein Fafai match had pretty much everything, including the brown running all the way along the top of the cushion before dropping in the pocket, but the shot we're interested in is from Jimmy White, as he pots the black and removes the red from the cushion, which allows him to go on and win the frame. Jimmy then would eventually win the match by 4 frames to 2. Initially I thought I'd overhit this, but I just caught the red thin enough. Happy to get that straight away because I didn't think I would. Martin O'Donnell was also in trouble against Jimmy White, but then he manages to pot this long red, screw the cue ball back for the blue, and go on to make a 103 break, winning the frame, and then taking the next 2 frames in quick succession to win the match. After playing a lot of similar shots to this already in this video, I was expecting to be a little bit more accurate to start off with. But with this one I do have to screw the cue ball back with the red a lot further away from the cue ball than any previous shot. So I've got it, and unfortunately that's the best I can do on this table. Luca Brecel's got through to the second round, but he's 3-0 down against Pang Zhangzhu. Despite this, he still manages to knock in this long red and screw the cue ball back to the baulk cushion, which allows him to play a good snooker, and he managed to win the frame off the next chance. However, he still ended up losing the match then 4 frames to 1. I'm having a little bit of trouble with this one because you haven't just got to screw this back, you've got to power it a little bit so it arcs around the blue, and it's taken me a little while to get that right. I can only screw back this much, but it's nearly enough, just a little bit short in the end. We've got a Barry Hawkins shot coming up next, right after we find Jamie, who's from Sligo in the Republic of Ireland, which is there. This Barry Hawkins shot is similar to the Neil Robertson one from earlier, except this time it has a cannon in it, as Barry manages to spread the reds nicely, giving himself a good chance. However, he'd still lose this frame from here, and go on to lose against Judd Trump by 4 frames to 1. Just as before, this is going to be all about getting the stun and the spin right off the cushion, and I've noticed as it's coming down the table, the left hand side is making it arc back to the right once it hit the cushion. That was going to hit the black, but I've hit it perfect. The cannon could have gone a lot better, but I've left myself a potable red, and I've managed to get it, so let's move on to the next one. This was the winning shot for Tian Pengfei in the first round, and it's really well controlled as he pots the yellow and screws the cue ball round 2 cushions, not going past the brown and ending up in position on the green, from where he could make the clearance, win the frame and match. After just the first attempt, I've quickly realised I'm hitting the shot too hard. I've potted it with my second, but there's still too much pace on the cue ball, so I'm going to have to back it off a bit and judge the shot better because I'm playing the shot slower with side spin, which is going to be a little bit harder to control than before. This one's still a little bit too pacey as it's come by the brown, so I've got to get the speed right and control the pot. That's not too bad. I haven't actually cannoned the brown, but it's in the right place, so I'm sticking with that. As part of an insane clearance from Kyren Wilson, he manages to punch this pink in that's nearly straight and get the cue ball back across the table for the black. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to play this and keep the pink in the pocket at the same time. But to be fair, I've got to get close to the pocket in the first place to make it jump out, and I'm struggling with the amount I have to dig down at the shot to get it anywhere near. That hit the back of the pocket and jumped out, so I'm a little bit worried that when I finally get it right and get it absolutely perfect, it will just not go in, and it'll still jump out. That's jumped out again, but gone in the corner pocket. I'm not sure this is going to hold, so I'm going to see if I can play it a little bit slower. And it's worked, although the white's gone a little bit too far, but I can still pot the black from there. So pretty good. You know how it works by now. Vote for the winner using the link in the description. And that's going to be crucial because we're going to play all the best shots of 2020 in a video at the end of the year, which is getting pretty close. So if you want to see more of those shots, then have a look at these 2 videos. And remember, don't just watch, play. And make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel and visit the website. See you later.